You're watching the Big 12 on ESPN. Welcome to Magnus Arena on the campus of Denver University as we continue the opening weekend of women's collegiate gymnastics, and we have got a great one here. The number 13 Michigan Wolverines pay a visit to the number 12 Denver Pioneers. Hello everyone, I am John Roethlisberger, and I am joined by Olympic silver medalist and NCAA champion Sam Pesek. Sam, an outstanding opening weekend of women's college gymnastics. So much buzz about this sport, and it hasn't disappointed so far here in the opener.
No, we were at LSU on Friday, and even with a team that had some injuries, they really tested their depth early this season and still look strong. They put up a really good score. But Oklahoma, the six-time national champions, competed yesterday, and they have the highest team score of the weekend so far. But maybe the best matchup is this one right here, Michigan against Denver. Let's start with Michigan. Head coach Bev Plotke is really excited to learn about her newcomers. There's so many freshmen on this team. She's really excited to see what they're able to do under pressure, and she wants to see clean gymnastics. But a fifth-year senior, Carly Bauman, is really who this team is going to be leaning on. She's going to be competing 3 events here today. She's a captain. She has a Big Ten championship win on bars in 2023, and she was part of their historic national championship win in 2021. Denver, on the other hand, is returning a big team of veterans. She wants to see her team, Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt, head coach, wants to see her team competing aggressively today. She wants them to stay in the moment and really compete as hard as they possibly can. 2 of the athletes that you're going to see throughout this competition, Rosie Casali, who's a 5th year, she's the number 1 returner on vault, and Maddie Ulrich is a sophomore, the number 1 returner on floor. Both athletes are going to be competing on multiple events, so you're going to see their names show up throughout this competition, and expect to see some big numbers from these girls.
And we're going to get right into rotation number 1, and this might be the single best matchup of the weekend. You mentioned it, Sam. Denver, the home team, they get to start on vault. They go Olympic order and on floor exercise. Here's Mila Brush, the junior, getting things started for Denver.
Yurchenko layout full. Wow. She flared it out. Flaring means she extends her hips before she lands. Because she has so much power, this really helps her settle into the landing.
So Denver starting on vault. Michigan will start on the uneven bars, which the interesting part about being the visiting team, you come into a hostile environment and you have to end the meet on balance beam, a tough place to finish. As we see Jazara Ranger now, the leadoff for the Michigan Wolverines, a freshman.
The team calls her Jay-Z, and you could see from that first handstand just how aggressive she is. I watched her in warm-up, and she has so much power. She's a freshman. This is her first competitive routine for Michigan. So just imagine the first time competing. I remember my first time competing. You have so much more adrenaline. My guess is that's how she had so much power to overshoot the release move.
See Scott Sherman there. He is the associate head coach for Michigan. The bar whisperer, if you will, a tremendous bar coach.
Certainly not the way Michigan was hoping to start their season, but in my opinion, it was an aggressive mistake. It was a big mistake and something she could build on. Nice clean dismount, double layout. Takes a big deep breath there.
And I think that's a theme from these coaches we talked to before the meet. I want to see the gymnasts being aggressive. If you make mistakes, it's okay, but be aggressive. Here's your meet format. 6 gymnasts for each team compete. They count the top 5 scores. So that is the important part about women's gymnastics. You get to drop the load. If you have a mistake, like we just saw from Michigan, you can drop that score, but don't have more than one major mistake. The home team, as we mentioned, their order vault finishing on floor. The visiting team's got to end on balance. Second gymnast to go here for Denver, Bella Mavanta. Out of Frisco, Texas. She follows Mila Brush's 9.8. You can see our scoring tower, as we like to call it, on the right hand of your screen, showing the lineups, and as the scores come in, they will populate.
Bella's going to be doing the same vault. Yurchenko layout full. Nicely executed. Coaches said they've worked really hard to perfect the shape in the air, and I'm seeing legs together, stretched hips, exactly what the judges are looking for.
So the best teams in the country will do that vault, but add a half twist, which Denver will do later in this rotation. But the one thing you want to do on those vaults, like you said, Sam, be clean. Denver outstanding through 2 vaults, just small hops on the landing. Sophomore Halen Zombrowski now getting ready to go on the uneven bars. Waiting for that first score to come in from Jay-Z. Certainly a score Michigan is going to want to drop. The hard part, Sam, you missed that first routine. The pressure is on. You basically have a 5-up, 5-count scenario now for the Wolverines.
Head coach Bev Plotke was saying a point of improvement for this team was doing aggressive handstands. Again, a theme we're going to consider throughout this entire competition, and no doubt about it, Jay-Z was going aggressive for those handstands and release moves. Nice straddle yoga release move, straight back up to the handstand. These athletes have a 10-degree window before the judges deduct. Really having to work to get this over the top. Lost momentum after that high to low bar release move. And puts it to her feet.
Unfortunately, 2 steps on that landing, too, at the end. If you're going to take a step, try to make it 1. Some major problems, though, Sam, on that low bar. Had to kick twice, hit her foot on the ground. This is not going to be a great score either.
Yeah, something that you see across the board with freshmen oftentimes is they're competing tight because they get nervous, and that might be what we're seeing here on bars from this Michigan team.
So sophomore Amanda Hargraves, now the 3rd gymnast to go for Denver, follows a 9.75 from Abanta. 2 good scores for Denver, but those scores are ones you want to build on. They've got some big vaults coming up here. You want to start getting towards that 9.9 range.
This is their last Yurchenko full of the lineup. Big hop back there. That's a point of focus in the gym so far.
That was a huge Yurchenko full, probably the biggest one we've seen so far, but the landing, that's the easy stuff to take if you're a judge.
And some of these athletes have a more difficult vault, but head coach Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt said, we want to pace them, especially on the leg events. So you're going to see them maybe doing these Yurchenko full vaults when later in the season, we'll see those upgrades.
So now the pressure is really on Ava Jordan. We don't have that Zombrowski score in yet, but it's not going to be a big score. So they've got 4 athletes to go. If you're Michigan at this point, you want to keep it close after 1 rotation. It doesn't look like they're going to have to lead, but this is a marathon, not a sprint. But right now, sophomore Ava Jordan has got the weight of the world right now, early in the season, but for this meet, this is a big routine.
Coaches have said that the consistency in the gym has actually been really good up until this point, and we talk about this at the beginning of season a lot. There's no way to simulate a competition setting in the gym. You can do pressure situations, you can close your eyes and visualize, but there's really nothing that can totally replace moment right here where you're waiting to salute to those judges.
And this is absolutely that pressure situation. Bev Plotke's going to learn a lot about Ava Jordan right here. Watched her in warm-up, Sam, and she can absolutely float on her release move on this event. We'll see if she does it like she warmed it up. Judges shaking off a little rust too, Sam?
I think so. I think it's going to be a learning curve for a lot of teams and judges this weekend. This Michigan team is hopefully going to learn a lot of makeup of their team, their strengths, their weaknesses. And this is a team that has a lot of talent.
So the judges are out of their chairs. They're actually right in front of us now, having a little conference. We can maybe drop some, get into that meeting.
What's going on here? I think what's most important is that we get the correct score. So even though sometimes it takes a little bit longer, I think everyone watching, including us, including the teams, want the most accurate score possible, and hopefully that's what they're trying to figure out right now.
And I do believe the start values differed on this last routine. I believe one had a 9.9, one had a 10. You can see all the hieroglyphics on that sheet of paper. This judging is not a simple endeavor. They're not ordering their Panera bread right there, folks. That was actually
But
It's a
Ava is
serious meeting.
handling this perfectly. What you want to do when you're getting iced out is walk away from the equipment, re-chalk up, and start the process all over again, because what you don't want to do is stand there, get stiff, and maybe let those negative thoughts into your head.
Well, we're about to see how she handles it, because she's got a smile on her face right now, but you've been in the situation, I've been in the situation, Sam. You have a routine before the routine.
Yep.
And that just got massively interrupted for Ava Jordan. It's about taking a deep breath and putting that all behind you as soon as you put your feet on that vault board and mount the bars.
But again, this is a good test. All of these moments right here add up, they compound, and hopefully they'll pay off during the postseason when it matters the most.
That's about a 4-minute wait, and that is tough to do. You can see the Zabrowski score, a 9.325. They're going to have to count that score.
Perfectly extended arms for the catch. Nice handstand position. Looking for one more vertical handstand here. Nicely done. And this is the routine that's going to get them back on track.
That was absolutely clutch.
Yeah, and
routine.
you saw her, John, take a big deep breath after that was over.
I think a lot of people in the arena, if you're a Michigan Wolverine fan, took a big deep breath after that.
After she caught her first release move, you saw 2 handstands there, really in range for what the judges are looking for. And then clean double back dismount. Saw the hop on the landing, but they just needed a good number to get things moving in the right direction.
Now Madison Ulrich on the vault. Is at 9.6. You can see it's lightly shaded because that's the score they're currently dropping.
This is their first 10-0 start value vault. Front handspring pike with a half.
So as you're looking at that scoring tower, you can see Amanda Hargrave's score is a little lighter than the others. Again, reminder, 6 scores, but they only have to count 5. So right now for Denver, we're just letting you know that 9.6 currently is the score they will drop as long as all the other scores are higher than that one. For Michigan, that number would be that 9-0 at the top of their lineup. I was talking to the Michigan coaches about some of these freshmen, and the one that really kind of brought a light to their eye, and somebody who's kind of a headliner in that freshman class, is this next gymnast, Sophia Diaz. Bev Plotky there certainly has got a lot of high hopes for her.
They said that she's doing a really good job, like you mentioned, John, and even had some upgrades, especially on this bar routine. When she gets to the dismount, she used to do a completely different dismount, came into college, learned a double layout. It's a popular dismount in NCAA, 2 flips in the straight body position.
I know it sounds dumb for me to say this as I'm sitting behind the table, but it seems like one that's easier to stick than maybe the full twisting. You can see the ground. If you do it well,
yeah,
it's easier to stick.
I think so. We'll see what Sophia thinks about that.
I think Sophia is right now going, why is everybody waiting to go on bars? They've got the score in for Ava Jordan, a 9.85, and that is how you stop the bleeding for the Michigan Wolverines. And here we go with Sophia Diaz.
This is her first competitive routine for Michigan. Nice first cast handstand. She's going straight up to the high bar. I like to see those legs glued together in that combination. Aggressive swing here, straight to that new dismount, double layout. A little shy at the end, had to take that step forward, but put it to her feet, and everything on the bar had the makings of a really high potential scoring routine.
Maybe she wants to talk to me about being easier to stick.
Yeah.
But, look, it was floating, and it looked like
You
maybe
know
she
you
was.
jinxed her there,
Yeah.
right? It's all you.
Maybe she was trying a little too hard to get that stuck landing. Madison Ulrich, a 9.75 for Denver on vault in the 4th spot. Now Madison Reidenbach will be the 5th gymnast to go here.
She's the first athlete on their roster competing a 1.5 here today. This is a new vault for her. Coaches are really excited about the possible scoring potential. She can do a full, she can do a 1.5, but we're wanting to see how that upgraded vault scores. It's gonna score pretty well, especially when you find the landing like that. Coming into this meet, they weren't sure if she was gonna be able to do the 1.5 or if they wanted her to do a full. They need to be thoughtful about it, but check this out. Good block off the table. She knew exactly where she was. Soft knees in the air. Look at that knee position. Anticipating the landing a little bit early, but not much more you can ask for with that landing.
Assistant coach Stephen Hood, you saw him in the shot there. He is loving it. Got to stick to landings. An important part, this came up new in the rule book last year, Sam. You got to hold that finishing position. It was a common term to say college stick, someone who kind of held it and turned to the judge. Well, now it's a deduction if you don't hold that a full second in the direction you're facing when you land. So keep that in mind. If you've got your notepad out at home and you're judging from home, that is an important rule here in women's gymnastics. Sophia Diaz a 9.775, so a couple of good scores. That Ava Jordan score actually changed to a 9.825. And here's JC Vore.
She is not new to this roster, so they're happy to have two veteran athletes at the end of the lineup. She's the number 2 returner on bars. Big Takachi release move to get things started for her. Working on getting these handstands completely vertical. Great aggressive work there. Stretched hips on the dismount and just finding that stick position that John is hoping to see on the double layouts across the board here in NCAA gymnastics.
I've put him on notice. You better start sticking those double layouts. So Riley Mundell now will anchor the vault. Was originally Rosie Casali, but now Rosie will not be doing the all-around. Here's Riley Mundell following Reidenbach's 9.85. So consistency across the board, still looking to drop that 9.6 if Mundell can land this well.
Number 2 returner on vault.
There you go.
Great lineup change. She has a 1.5. Weren't sure if she was going to do the full or the 1.5 here, but going for that difficulty has really benefited this Denver team. They've had no problems in this lineup. Check out the form in the air. Nice stretched hips. Knew exactly where she was. Sometimes early in the competition, they don't have enough numbers to know where the ground is for these stuck landings, and not this Denver team. They're doing a great job here.
But you're missing the headline. She was on the bench. She wasn't going to be in. We need to talk to the coaches. We need to get a closed circuit on that one. It's like putting Kurt Warner, the NFL MVP, on the bench, you know, to start the season.
Well, she let them know. She's not going to be on the bench for much longer.
She absolutely did. That was incredible. Anchor vault for the Denver Pioneers by Riley Mundell. JC Vore, a 9.8. Still looking for our first 9.9 of the competition. If anybody can do it, it's this athlete right here, Carly Bauman.
She's the number 1 returner on bars. She's the captain and probably the athlete that this team is going to be relying on the most this season. Huge release moves and just really beautiful gymnastics across the board. Finishing double front line landing, so tougher than that double layout to spot the ground and sink into the floor.
Beautiful.
Good hit routine.
Yeah, beautiful gymnastics. We saw her warm one of those up and absolutely just smoked it. We said carbon copy that for the meet.
Yep.
Took a little step on that landing, but otherwise outstanding. Good finish for Michigan after a very rocky start. Denver will have the lead after this first rotation. The question is by how much, but it could have been a lot worse had Michigan not righted the ship there after those first couple routines. Melissa Kuchar-Reinhardt in her 27th season here as the head coach of the Denver Pioneers, done such an outstanding job. 4th place, their highest finish at NCAA, that was in 2019. A little bit of a disappointing finish to last season. We're hoping to advance to the NCAA championships. Did not make that happen, but well, one rotation in here in 2025 and they look good.
They set a new program record on bars last year, 49.75, which is huge, and they're really excited about the team they have going into this season. Of course, missing superstar Jessica Hutchinson, but returning 20 of the 24 routines that they had at postseason last year. That's a lot.
Yeah, losing Jessica Hutchinson, no small thing, though. Number 4 in the country at the end of the regular season in the all-around. Carly Bauman, a 9.85 to finish things off for Michigan on bars. They will be down by about 0.4 of a point, a little more than that as we get ready to warm up for rotation number 2. Welcome back to Magnus Arena here on the campus of the Denver Pioneers, and right now it is Denver after one rotation with a 4.5 lead over the visiting Michigan Wolverines with 3 rotations to go. Here we are in 2025, so much hype coming into this season, Sam, and I think one of the things we want to see is how are the new freshmen, what are some of these new look teams going to look like, and also a lot of eyes on the defending champs, the LSU Tigers. They get their first ever NCAA championship last season, something that people have been waiting for forever, but we got to see them open Friday night with a win.
And we were actually there in person to see that banner drop. You see the athletes get emotional throughout the ceremony. They worked so hard for this moment, really fought throughout the end, but a freshman highlight for me was Kaylin Chio starting off strong with this Yurchenko 1.5. She had a lot of difficulty, so many high-level skills, and she performed them extremely well. Those landings, no problem, and it seemed like she was a veteran, but a real veteran, Aaliyah Finnegan, showed her colors. Coaches say she looks better, she looks healthier than she's ever been, and you can see it written all over her face. Throughout all these 4 events, she looks comfortable, she looks confident, she's just out there having fun.
Aaliyah Finnegan got the all-around win as well, just ahead of Kaylin Chio, who almost got it from her on that opening weekend. Here's some of the big meets coming up next weekend. You cannot miss this. It's the Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad. 3 quad meets in 2 days. It's going to be on the ACC network, ABC, and ESPN2. There are your times. That'll be fun, but man, you go in the SEC and it's just great matchup after great matchup. And hey, happy Valentine's Day to all gymnastics fans, because number 1 Oklahoma makes a visit to number 2 LSU. That is certainly one to circle amongst others. So it's going to be a fun season. Gosh, I don't know if there's ever been more hype for a season than this one. Michigan Wolverines, they go to vault. Ava Jordan will take their team there. Meanwhile, Riley Mundell, she was outstanding on that first rotation. Her and the Pioneers go to the uneven bars. Michigan and Denver here, though, after one rotation. Denver leads by 0.45. That's a pretty big lead, Sam, after one rotation, but obviously a lot of gymnastics yet to go, but if you're Michigan, you can't let things get worse, right? Here we go with Michigan on the vault. Leading off with Peyton Davis.
Yurchenko full. Holding that landing. Got high off the table. Wasn't sure if they were competing there for a second. Quick touch warm up.
Rosie Casale will lead things off for Denver on the uneven bars again. 0.45 lead. And if you're the Michigan Wolverines, you want to just chip away at that. You know, certainly a Denver mistake would get you back into it theoretically, but just want to get a half-tenth here, a tenth there, and make it close at the end.
And this is really their best event. It was their strongest event last year and anticipated to be the same this year. Want to see those handstands all the way vertical. Sharp positions, not quite the stick. You see it in her face. She knew that she could hang on to it a little bit longer, and that's just where the dust, you're scraping off the dust coming into this season.
And that double layout just floated in the air. It felt like forever.
Indicate to the judges that there was an off balance. The twist was off balance in the air, so she will incur deduction for that.
Momoko Iwai will be the next gymnast to go here on the uneven bars. Sam, I competed against her dad in the 2000 Olympics. How about that for a blast from the past?
Gymnastics is a small world, always having those full circle moments.
Kasalia 9.875. What a tremendous opening score for the Pioneers. That is a big score for her first athlete up.
Momo competed bars 3 times last year, struggled on that, what's called a bail to handstand in the warm-up. You can see how hard they're working to get those sticks, just not quite the air awareness that we'll most likely see towards the end of season. This is opening release move. Straight back down to what's called a bail to handstand. You see she got caught a little cockeyed there. Judges are looking for strong, sharp shapes, especially in that last cast handstand. Needs to hang on a smidge longer to get that stick on the double layout dismount.
See associate head coach Linus Gaveka there. He's the main bar coach, also a former gymnast at Iowa where he won the national championship on high bar. Here's a veteran of this Michigan team, Reina Gugino.
Doing a 1.5, shy on the landing. She has actually just the second gymnast in NCAA history to lead off a rotation with a perfect 10. It was on this vault right here, but oftentimes you see in gymnastics, when she's under-rotated, you're going for the stick too hard and trying to sink into it, but she needs a bit more power to have that stuck landing.
And she was following Ava Jordan's 9.725. Doesn't look like scores will build there for Michigan with that third vault. Mia Hebink now out of Lone Tree, Colorado, and Colorado Aerials just down the road from where we are now.
She's one of the most beautiful bar workers. Nice handstand. The longer you can hold those handstands, the less likely the judges are to take a deduction. So veteran move from Mia. See if she can hang on to it here. Nicely done. Good long lines in that double layout. Spotting the ground, but working on keeping her feet planted at the end.
They got a couple of 9.875s to start this rotation, does Denver, and it feels like Mia probably just did another one of those. Very similar routine with this, just that hop on the landing at the end. And again, a little bit of a situation for Michigan. 9.525, so now that is their low score. They're going to have to count that 9.65. Here comes Jay-Z for Michigan on vault.
Big vault, 1.5. You can see just how quick she is, just how much height she gets off the table. Every athlete dreams of being as quick twitched as Jay-Z Ranger. Look how fast she is. She gets pop off the table and then right away generates that turn. Just needs to get comfortable with absorbing the ground on the landing.
One of the Big Ten gymnasts to watch here as we enter the 2025 season. Celia Cooley now will be the fourth gymnast to go, waiting for Hebank's score. And it's a 9-9, our first 9-9 of the day. Denver trying to make a statement, trying to say to Michigan, you guys are not going to catch us today.
Well, Cece came in as a walk-on. She earned a scholarship her senior year. And it's not even because of her gymnastics. They didn't know if she was going to be able to compete this year. It was just how great of a personality and how helpful she's been with her character throughout her time here at Denver. And to see her do so well and be able to compete bars is just the cherry on top for this athlete.
And that was only the third time in her career, Sam, that she's competed bars for the Denver Pioneers, and certainly looked like she's done it every day.
Yeah, she was out last year with an ACL, but has looked so good in the preseason, and to be able to salute and be waiting for years for this moment, really special.
So Rangers score on vault a 9.8. Jenna Mulligan, now it feels like these are must-have big vaults for Michigan.
1.5. She's not new to this lineup. Does that very easily. You can see how far away from the table she got when she lands. Shows just how powerful she is.
Just one vaulter left to go for Michigan, Sophia Diaz. They'll be looking for a big one there. Madison Ulrich will be the next gymnast to go for the Denver Pioneers as we're waiting for Cooley's score.
The three emphasis of this Denver team on bars has been height of the release move, hitting those dismounts, and good swing throughout these routines. And that hard work in the gym has really been showing up with these athletes so far.
Cecilia Cooley's score, a 9.85, the lowest score for Denver on bars so far. That's a pretty good low score.
Nice height on that release move. You can see how she paused in the air before she caught the bar. Really just not a lot of places to deduct in this routine.
There it is.
The stuck double layout that John's been waiting to see all day.
Like a toothpick in a club sandwich, Sam. Melissa Kuchar-Reinhardt's got to love that. What are they going to do with this one? This should be a big number.
Some would say, you know, look at this swing. She goes right in it. Perfect shape, stretched hips. You can see her eyes spotting the ground a few seconds before her feet hit, and she just knew exactly where she was to dial it in.
Yeah, Melissa Kuchar-Reinhardt told us about her before the meet. Not much to deduct in that bar routine. Well, you were accurate, Melissa. That was outstanding. Here we go with Sophia Diaz now in the anchor spot.
Take a 1.5. She scored a perfect 10 in club gymnastics at nationals this year. So they're hoping that she can rinse and repeat here. First vault for her as a Michigan athlete.
That was outstanding finish for Michigan. Unfortunately, they are going to have to count a 9.65. They will drop that 9.525 from Reina Gugino. But again, a rotation where Denver is going to extend that lead. Let's see if Riley Mundell can keep the magic going. We saw her on vault. Outstanding anchor vault for her there. Let's see what she does here on bars.
Had a bit of trouble on her Tkachev release move in the touch. Wow. Beautiful holding handstand. Textbook release move, no problems right here. I really like how she's working these handstands. Legs are glued together. We are sitting so close to bars, almost exactly where the judges are, and I haven't seen one deduction. She's doing a great job milking these handstands. Just a stuck landing. Wow. That may have been the best bar routine I have seen in this season so far.
2 for 2 on stuck landings today is Riley Mundell.
The extension on that Tkachev release move and the way that she's able to work her hips all the way through her toes. She almost bounces on the bar in those handstand positions. We're gonna see one more here. and then is able to finish the job with this double layout. You see it in her face. She knew it was a good one.
And it is going to be a bigger lead, at least a point, I'm being told by my crack statistician Greg next to me. More than a point for Denver after 2 rotations, and they could not ask for much more. Sam, for a couple of teams that we're kind of waiting to see what they're going to have this year and how everybody's going to step into that 2025 season, Denver certainly halfway through has got to be thrilled.
When we did our coaches call with head coach Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt, she sounded comfortable. She was ready for the season, and she has high hopes and high expectations for this team. She said we couldn't have prepared more, and she just wants them to compete how they're training. And so far, I haven't watched every single day in training, but from what the coaches have described, it seems like they are doing exactly what they've set out to do, and that's always a feel-good moment for coaches and the team, who's worked so hard for months in the preseason.
And I think what Melissa said to us was there's only been a handful of training days from the fall until now that could have been better, meaning they were all outstanding training days, not much more they could have done or more they could have asked for the athletes, and it certainly appears that it is all paying off today. We're at the halfway point, and we have the honor of being joined by the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, Bev Plotke. Bev, kind of evaluate your team halfway through here today.
Well, obviously it's not the start that we wanted. We knew with as many freshmen as we have, we warmed up great. I was so proud of them after warm-ups, but especially when you come out of the gate and you have a fall right off the bat, I think it makes people nervous. So, it's our first meet. We're going to learn a lot from this, and we just want to finish up. Our best 2 events are actually next. So we want to look forward and not back right now.
What are you hoping to see from this team on floor and beam, especially those newcomers?
Just want to be able to put the first half of the meet behind us and kind of start over. Like I said, these are our best 2 events, and I want to see them go out and perform and be able to pick up and do what they're capable of doing from here on out.
Bev, thanks for the time. Good luck on the rest of the competition.
All right, thank you.
Getting ready for the second half. Michigan will go to the floor exercise. Denver will go to the balance beam. When we come back, though, we're going to talk a little bit about conference realignment. A lot of talk in football, but it's also happening in the sport of women's gymnastics. Through 2 rotations here in Denver, it is the Denver Pioneers with a commanding lead, over 1.2 lead over the visiting Michigan Wolverines as we head into the second half of this competition. So conference realignment in women's gymnastics. We got a new look Big 12, and there was only 4 teams in the past years in the Big 12. Now there is 7, Sam. It's going to be a tough conference.
Yeah, notable for me is those 3 Pac-12 schools that are joining the Big 12, Arizona, Arizona State, and the powerhouse Utah. So I think it's going to add a lot of value to this conference. Of course, they lost Oklahoma, but looking at these schools, it's an extremely competitive conference, and I think we're going to see a lot of iron sharpens iron from them.
The Big Ten and the ACC also getting some new teams to join them. Your alma mater, Sam, UCLA and Washington join the Big Ten. And then Cal and Stanford, they're going to have some long road trips in their ACC conference that they are now a part of. But maybe the biggest talker in women's gymnastics is the best team in the country over much of the last decade. The Oklahoma Sooners now joins the best conference in women's gymnastics, the SEC.
Everyone is so excited to have Oklahoma join the SEC so they can have some extremely competitive dual meets throughout the regular season. And I think Oklahoma's excited for this as well.
It's going to be fun to watch them go through that gauntlet. Meanwhile, here we are in Denver. Momoko Iwai, former Big 12 champ on beam, takes her team to that event next. Carly Bauman, the captain of the Wolverines, takes them to the floor exercise. They got to make a move halfway through this meet. They got some work to do if they want to catch the home team, the Denver Pioneers. Don't forget, next week, the Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad. 3 quad meets in 2 days. It'll be on the ACC Network, 9 Eastern Time Friday, Saturday, 4 Eastern Time on ABC, 8 Eastern on ESPN2. 6 of the top 10 teams in the country will be there. I will be there covering it along with Olympic champion Allie Raisman, so make sure you guys tune in for that one. What a great way. They did it last year for the first time, and this is the second season of an outstanding way to kick off women's collegiate gymnastics.
Yeah, if you want to see NCAA championships, the second meet of a season, this is a good meet to watch.
Meet summary so far. 0.45 was the lead after one. Certainly not insurmountable, but now that lead has been extended. 1.225. In women's gymnastics, that is a lot. You fall from the apparatus, that is a 5/10 deduction. So in theory, they have at least 2 fall cushion, do the Denver Pioneers over the Michigan Wolverines. Now, the meet doesn't start, Sam, until when? You go to beam, in my opinion, and here we go as we get things started with Momoko Iwai for Denver.
Been such a fantastic leadoff athlete for this team.
I mean, how about having a former Big 12 champion on this event be your leadoff athlete? It's got to make a coach feel good.
She's also one of the 2 captains on this team. Something that I love about her is that she really works the beam. You see some athletes go on beam, they're a little timid, and it looks like the beam works them. And not with Momo. She's really aggressive and sharp to those finish positions. Oh no.
Oh boy. Now
Square her hips there on the side aerial. Very uncharacteristic for her though.
If there's any way for Michigan to get back into this meet, mistakes by the Denver Pioneers are probably the headline of a way to do that, and that is a big error early here in this rotation.
Yeah, again, she's typically such a beamer. She has strong arm positions throughout these skills, and almost looked like she rushed her side aerial. You see all of her toes off to the right side of the beam. Couldn't quite hang on to it. You see her arm swing, and the second you grab your legs and look down, there's a saying in gymnastics, especially on beam, is where you look is where you go, and you don't want to look down.
So a mistake to start the rotation for Denver. Again, 6 gymnasts up on each event. You count the top 5 scores. So not going to kill Denver, but they've got to be perfect the rest of the way. Now, Sophia Parenti and the Michigan Wolverines, they have got a chance. Can they capitalize? Here they go on floor exercise.
They're starting with a lot of conservative routines, those double pikes, wanting to be smart about working in those more difficult E passes, full ins, double layouts till later in the season. She was on the senior elite team for Canada, now getting her experience in college gymnastics. Sophie Parenti.
It's a big SEC women's college basketball matchup Thursday on ESPN2. Texas A&M versus number 2 South Carolina. Coverage begins at 5 p.m. Eastern from Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, also streaming on the ESPN app. So here we go, the pressure time for the Denver Pioneers. Their first major break took place on that first gymnast, EY, and that 9.25. So now the pressure starts to build. Cecilia Cooley now for the Pioneers.
She's really strong on this event. Taking a deep breath after her series. She knows that her score is definitely going to count along with the rest of the lineup. And even just thinking that adds more pressure to your routine.
Well, I think one step further. It has to count in their eyes.
Yep.
It won't necessarily guarantee a count, but if it doesn't, something else went very wrong. So the pressure is on. They have to get 5 good hits to maintain that lead over the Wolverines. There's one.
Saw a few nervous mistakes throughout this routine, but they just needed her to stay on the beam to continue this upward trajectory. Melissa looks happy. Sometimes it's good to see your athletes make a small mistake and see how they fight back. Shows a lot of grit heading into the rest of the season.
And you also need experience going off after a miss, because the idea that you're never going to miss is a foolish one. You're going to have mistakes. How do you react to those? And no better time to figure that out than in the first weekend of the season. Kaylee Boozer from Michigan, sophomore. Texarkana, Texas now follows a 9-7 from Parenti.
She has a lot of, that jump is called a ring jump, ring full. She has a few ring variations in this routine. They're all so beautiful. Done. This athlete worked so hard in the off season, is showing so much improvement from last year just already at the start of the season.
Kaylee Boozer, a sophomore. There's actually 14 lineup spots taken by freshmen or sophomores in this Michigan roster, and some of those sophomores didn't compete these events last year, so very inexperienced.
But showed really great tumbling front tuck to that double back, looking to see a bit more control on the landing. Finds it there on her final combination pass.
So the score for Cooley, a very good 9.8. 4 gymnasts to go, looking for 4 more hits, looking to drop that 9.25. Here's Rosie Casali.
This is a difficult, oh man, back handspring layout. She didn't push hard enough out of that back foot going into the final layout. And then, like we talked about, if you look down, you're seeing their eyesight, that's most likely where the athletes will go. And this is a huge disappointment, because I'm not sure there's a team out there that does more pressure sets and more beam routines than this Denver team. So it's not because of the lack of training. Sometimes coaches see these mistakes because they care too much. They're competing tight. Look at her back foot right here. Her arms were off-centered and then immediately looks down to the ground, and that's where we saw her go, and I'm assuming that's what Melissa is talking to her about now.
So they will count a mistake on balance beam. Will the Pioneers again? Massive opportunity for the Wolverines. Zabrowski up now. She follows a 9.725. They've got to capitalize more than 9.7s if they want to really take a chunk out of that lead, put pressure on Denver in the last rotation.
Oh no, really missed the punch going into that last punch front. She's got to put this one to her feet. Good job on that double back. She's a sophomore, but I want her to get more comfortable performing this routine. It's a really big aspect of college gymnastics is to sell your floor routine, engage the audience. It's tough to do, especially after a mistake. And that's where the experience comes into play here. Let's see what went wrong. Nice front layout into the full, but again, doesn't quite get herself in the right position for that front tuck at the end.
And she is new to the floor exercise, typically an uneven bar specialist. And so right as I said, an opportunity for Michigan, they have a fall of their own. Rosie Casali at 9.0. They will count the 9.25, but I'll tell you what, if you want to have somebody up in a pressure spot where you have to get a hit, Riley Mundell has been absolutely on fire tonight.
This is a moment to remember all your training.
Unbelievable.
Wow. And they track everything. This is a team that tracks their numbers in the gym. They have a long list of data analytics. And really looks like the nerves are getting to them here at this first meet.
Riley went through 2 rotations where she probably couldn't have done anything better than she did, and that looked beautiful until it wasn't.
And we all know that beam is such a mental component. Head coach Melissa Kutcher-Reinhardt said, we don't have Olympians on our team, so we have to build their mental strength in the gym with more pressure routines, and I'm guessing there's a bit more of that to come in their training. Finishes strong. Not the rotation Denver is hoping to have, especially when this is considered to be one of their best events, but you can see how easily these falls and mistakes are contagious. One mistake turns into 2. Her heel was completely off the back, and to me, that was a reactive mistake instead of just a wobble. Sometimes when you make a mistake on beam, instead of having that reaction, taking a quick deep breath, everything happens in a very small moment in time, taking a deep breath and settling in to fix it. Easier said than done, of course, looking from where we're sitting, John.
Yeah, well, looking from where we're sitting on that last shot down the beam, that just gives you an idea of the perils of the balance beam and truly how easy it is to come off and how perfect you have to be. And this just in, newsflash, judges conference on floor exercise. Hopefully they have got it together here. But that is 2 falls that Denver's going to have to count on beam. They've had 3. They're going to have to count 2 for sure with 2 gymnasts yet to go. Zabrowski an 8.775. So Michigan with a fall of their own, they are going to look to drop that score. I'll tell you right now, if they end up having to count that score, this meet is over before we get to the 4th rotation. So 3 gymnasts to go here. And they have got to be big hits. Junior Paige Thaxton now.
I was talking to head coach Bev Plotke about Paige before the competition started, and she said, you know, she wasn't supposed to be in this floor lineup because she struggled staying in bounds, but had an amazing workout yesterday, stayed in bounds, hoping to see that when there's a bit more adrenaline.
Wow.
Tuck pull in, needs her chest to be vertical when her feet hit the ground. She's got to get her chest up. She's got to stay in bounds. Better work there. Still working on getting enough power to turn over those tumbling passes. But it's the beginning of season. They don't have as many numbers on the hard surface, so even competition or an opportunity to practice what that hard ground feels like. Sometimes it comes a little quicker than you think.
Now the pressure moves to Madison Ulrich. Follows a 9.225 from Riley Mundell. So they have a pair of scores in the 9.2s that they are going to have to count. That 9.0, the one they want to drop, and man alive, do they need hits.
This athlete, multiple coaches have described her as the steady Eddie competitor. That handspring layout, you're hoping that she's focused on her mental cues. That's what you say to yourself. You have a routine in your head throughout your routine, and you're hoping that that is really strong, because it's impossible to think of two things at once. So if you're thinking about what you need to do, you're not thinking about how much pressure is on you right now.
Madison was lights out on the uneven bars with a 9.9 there.
A lot of athletes on their team could compete. They've been fighting for these lineup spots, so it will be interesting to see if this beam lineup changes throughout the season.
And wow, did they need that hit.
Yeah.
And they got it from Ulrich with that beam routine. They'll get another hit on the board, and then Ulrich also will take the lead in the all-around competition, a 3-athlete race for the all-around title. Ulrich, Mundell, her teammate, and Jay-Z Ranger for the Michigan Wolverines.
I read Melissa's lips. She said, you did that beautifully, walking her through the routine. And it's good to know there's reliable athletes like Madison Ulrich that when all the pressure is on her, she is still going to hit her routine. Great learning from this third rotation for Denver.
Well, while we have a judges conference, let me tell you about the college football playoff semifinals here on ESPN. Thursday, Notre Dame versus Penn State in the Orange Bowl in Miami, and Friday, Ohio State versus Texas in the Cotton Bowl Classic in Arlington, Texas. Both games kick off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. The winners will play in the national title game January 20th. Man, I can't believe we're coming to the end of the college football season. I'd be depressed if gymnastics wasn't starting, Sam, but man, the season flies by.
Yeah.
It's been a fun one.
Lucky for us, I've been looking forward to NCAA season for quite some time here, so happy this is just weekend one and lots more to come.
So the meeting of the minds over Paige Thaxton's floor routine appears to have come to an end. The Michigan Wolverines, I think, are becoming accustomed to waiting.
Yeah, good experience having to wait. Oftentimes in training, you don't really get that experience, and it's tough mentally. Harder than you think.
Paige Thaxton, a 9.55. So, again, not a great score, but when Denver's having those mistakes, that will help a little bit. But they need Carly Bauman, Jazara Ranger to put up big numbers. 9 pluses are what they need.
For handspring double twist, that's an E difficulty pass, the same difficulty as a double layout or a full in that we're seeing from some athletes across the country. and a good, solid hit from Michigan. They needed it. At the top of the show, we said this team was going to be leaning on this fifth-year senior Carly Bauman, and she is doing her job here today.
One of the captains of the team, member of that 2021 national title team, the first for head coach Bev Palaki in her long storied career, 36th season for her at Michigan. Bella Mabonta now in the anchor spot, following Madison Ulrich's 9.85. A big hit would salvage this rotation for Denver. A miss could be disastrous.
Beautiful back handspring layout. She just works the beam nicely.
Head coach Kuchar Reinhardt calls her our beam queen. Thought you were the beam queen, Sam.
I think there could be multiple.
Can share the title.
Yeah, definitely share the title. Her arm positions and the choreography look really nice. Got a little loose on that one wobble, but you could tell she was feeling the pressure slightly, but works through it, and they needed that made beam routine for their score.
I'll tell you what, the look on her face just looked like it's another routine.
Yeah.
Even when she landed, stuck the landing, it's like, that's just what I do. Needless to say, it was a big, big pressure situation. 3 falls from Denver in this balance beam rotation, but they also had 3 very good hits.
That's a tuck gainer full off the end. Nicely done.
Carly Bauman, the best score so far for Michigan on floor exercise, a 9.85. Now here comes Jay-Z in the anchor spot, looking for a big number. Can they get their first 9-9 of today's competition?
You're not going to want to miss this first pass. It is so powerful. Double layout. That's 2 flips in a straight body position coming up right here. It was good. She slid her front foot. That'll be a slight deduction, but other than that, no problems in the air. Off some happy feet's what I call it on the landing, when you land and then you double check yourself. That's where some experience is going to come into play for Jay-Z here. But a lot of potential we're going to see throughout this season from her.
So Michigan will close the gap. The question is, how much will they close the gap? Again, 1.225 was the difference after the second rotation. A big margin. We said they had a cushion of about 5 falls. Well, there's 3 of them. 2 of them are going to have to count for the Pioneers. We'll see how tight it'll be. Is it close enough for Michigan to give it a run on the 4th and final rotation? Nothing like having a little bit of drama, certainly. Thanks for joining us. We're joined by the head coach of the Denver Pioneers, Melissa Kuchar Reinhardt. Melissa, hey, 2 great rotations, and then something went sideways on beam. Tell us about it.
A little uncharacteristic for us on beam, but I think first meet of the year. And you know, I welcome the adversity. This is how we're going to get better. This is how it's going to challenge us to dial in that focus and get better. I think this is a huge opportunity for us on floor to find out what this team is made of.
What did you notice from them on the first 2 events? Because they looked dialed in and sharp.
I thought they were great. I thought they took it one person at a time. I thought they were right in the moment. And you know how easy it is to let that focus just get a little bit away from you. But I was really proud of the athletes that did hit beam. They showed that they can hit, even not under ideal circumstances.
Well, Melissa, thank you. Good luck on this last rotation, and good luck the rest of the season as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So it is a lot closer now. Just .575 separates these 2 teams as they get ready for the 4th and final rotation. But when we come back, it's our pleasure. We're going to introduce you to the newest member of our team. How's that for a tease? You don't want to miss this. University, it looked like a runaway halfway through. It looked like Denver was going to win in a landslide, but not so fast, my friend. It is now down to just under 0.6 of a point between the 13th ranked Michigan Wolverines and the 12th ranked Denver Pioneers. So we told you we're going to introduce you to the newest member of our team, and man, I tell you what, we don't mess around here at the ESPN family of networks. We go right to the greatest, and I'm just going to say it. Trinity Thomas, first of all, welcome. Second of all, I'm going to make a lot of people mad out there. My opinion, the greatest collegiate gymnast of all time. All right, I said it, Sam. No offense to you, but Trinity, amazing watching your career. Now you're on the other side of the mic. You get to, everybody's going to throw barbs at you now. You know that, right?
I know.
But how does it feel? Are you excited to do this?
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to do this, and it's going to be new for me, but I'm excited to be on another side of things.
What are you looking forward to, and are you nervous?
I am nervous. I am not the most comfortable talking in front of people, but I've done a lot of interviews, and I've gotten a lot better at it, so I'm super excited to be here.
And what about this competition? You've been watching, you've been making notes, sitting right next to me. I've been watching. What do you see from these teams out here today?
Yes, first meet of the season is hard, and both teams are fighting, and there are some mistakes, but that's to be expected. It's the first meet, but they're recovering from the mistakes quite well, and I'm impressed with both teams.
Well, we're looking forward to having you join the ESPN team and getting out there for your first competition.
Absolutely. You know you can't be biased to the Florida Gators.
Yes,
It's your job.
obviously.
You got to be unbiased.
I love gymnastics.
Are the Gators going to be good this year? You can tell her. You got the inside scoop.
Oh, yes. The Gators are going to be great this year.
Well, thank you very much. We're excited to have you be part of the team. I think you and I might be doing an event together this year. I'm looking forward to that as well. Coming up from Denver, the final rotation, Michigan. They're going to balance beam. Can they put it together there and put the pressure on the Pioneers, who are going to be on the floor exercise trying to close it out? Back here in Denver, it started off in rotation one. Denver comes out to a .45 lead, and they extended that big time with 3 scores of 9-9, and that lead was 1.225. We thought maybe this thing is over. Maybe it's just going to be a rout, but it's gymnastics. In that third rotation, Denver has 3 falls. They give back a whole lot of points. Now that lead is under 0.6. Carly Bauman, the veteran, pulls out a big 9.85 on floor exercise, .575. But Michigan now, they're on beam. Denver just went there. I don't know if that beam is level the way Denver was on it. Can they put together a rotation that'll put pressure on the Pioneers?
And what is it you say? That the meet doesn't start until you get to this event right here. So big opportunity for Michigan.
This is Sophia Parenti, one of that freshman class, one of the 7 freshmen.
Handspring layout. There's something up with that beam. Everyone seems a little unsure of the landing on their skills. But head coach Bev Plotke said it's a big credit to her and a form of flattery that they would put her in this leadoff position as a freshman.
And she leads off 2 events. She led off the floor exercise, but to your point, beam that is a pressure-packed lineup spot, and one could argue maybe the most important lineup spot out of all 4 events.
Good combination work, that front aerial to a split jump. And they describe her, she doesn't get too high, she doesn't get too low, and you can kind of see that in her demeanor on the way that she works beam here. And nicely done.
Good start. Her dad, a 2-time Olympic swimmer for Canada. Her mom, a 2-time Olympic diver for Canada. My goodness, what's in the water literally up there in Canada?
It's a nice pedigree.
So good start. It feels like Michigan has got to have at least 3 or 4 visually perfect routines. Put some pressure on. Here's Mila Brush and the Denver Pioneers.
Opens double pike. watch her chest position when she lands. She does such a good job of making her chest vertical. Great positioning right there so that the judges don't deduct for low landings. Coaches say that they're really capitalizing on their execution, and having those strong vertical positions at the end of the tumbling is really the way to do that. And you're gonna notice it here again on her first pass, just how great her positioning is when she lands. You see her heel came up right there, overshot it ever so slightly, and then gets it correctly here on the last pass.
Sophia Parenti score for Michigan on beam, a 9-7. I'll just be honest, they're gonna have to be better than 9-7s. Really don't even want to count that score as Kaylee Boozer takes to the beam.
Hitch kick, front aerial, strong positioning. She's actually from the same gym that Jocelyn Robertson grew up in.
Jocelyn, a world team member, as well as an Olympic alternate for the Paris team.
And now a freshman at University of Arkansas. But coaches say the transformation that she's made from freshman year to now has been astonishing. And you just see it with her confidence level. They said she struggled a bit transitioning into college. She's from a small town, and they really feel like she's grasped the hang of it, and it's showing in her gymnastics across the board. Really beautiful lines and no problems in this beam routine. That's a way to get confidence here.
That is what they need. That certainly feels like a 9-8 plus. They need to do that the rest of the way. Might need a little more help as well from Denver. When I say help, help in the form of some mistakes and steps on landings.
That handspring layout, that's her series. And she is so sharp to get to that finish position. Judges like to see that. And of course, a stuck landing, it doesn't hurt either.
Are those the stick shades? Does Michigan have stick shades? Or does she just wear those because they're cool?
I think both options could be true.
Inquiring minds want to know. Mila Brush, a 9.85. Cecilia Cooley now. Again, for Denver, they just need to stay on their feet. They still have a margin of error, over half a point, so they can make some mistakes, but don't let the mistakes compound themselves.
And they don't quite have the difficulty that some of the other teams out there do on this event. So it's really important that they minimize their deductions on every little detail.
And Melissa Kuchar-Reinhardt did tell us, she said, we really pride ourselves on our choreography and our leaps and that tumbling. We don't have a lot of the E-passes, but she said some of those will come as we build through the season.
For not competing in a while, she looks pretty comfortable on the competition floor. See that knee brace. Making sure she stays healthy, but good positioning, good timing on that combination pass, and she looks well conditioned and prepared for this routine.
Back over to balance beam. Kaylee Boozer flirts with that 9-9. Can't quite get the first of the night for Michigan, but a 9.875. Nonetheless, an outstanding score there. Now JC Vore takes to the balance beam out of Fisher, Indiana. Not far from where you trained, Sam, and from JPAC, JC Phelps Athletic Center.
That handspring layout to open things up. Coaches say she's been so reliable in their lineups at her time here at Michigan. She's also one of their culture captains. I like how high she landed that front toss. And she looks like she's in a rhythm. It's really important and really sets the tone for the routine. If you continue the same rhythm start to finish, that's a nice indicator that the gymnast is settling in, and they're most likely going to make their routine. And another hit routine for Michigan. JC4 just the step forward on the dismount, but nice job settling in on the beam.
Parents put her in gymnastics because she was climbing the pantry shelves and swinging from the lights. I mean, if that's not a reason to put your kid in gymnastics, I don't know what is. Cecilia Cooley for Denver, and 9.875, so she matches Boozer's score from Michigan. Now Momoko Iwai.
Opens with a combination pass, and every landing she does is so precise. She has the ability to be really clean. Double back, barely making the mats. I think the mats cause more problems than they help, but that's a personal opinion.
And it's only about 4 inches thick. It's not like it helps that much with the padding, and I agree with you, Sam. Sometimes I wonder.
I think sometimes it helps mentally more than physically.
But that was a fantastic routine.
But check out how clean this combination pass is. Straight in that stag jump. Textbook. I hope someone got a photo of that in the air. Finishes double back, barely making the mat. And like I said, she's a clean gymnast. This is going to be a big score for them.
Yeah, that's going to be a big number. Cooley got a 9.875, and in my amateur opinion, that routine was equally good, so we'll see what the judges do. JC Vora 9.775. So when comparing the third gymnast from each team, can JC Vora's score hold up against EY's? We'll find out. Jenna Mulligan now on balance beam.
She's a fifth year, and last year was actually the first time that she was in beam lineup, but she does a nice job of attacking the beam, and what I mean by that is look at her landings. Hitch kick, oh, not there. Broken connection. So now she's gonna ad-lib, do a back handspring layout. Not quite what she had planned, but good save. She's the #2 returner on this event. I think both teams are feeling a little heat early in the season. These athletes do so many beam routines in practice, a lot of pressure sets to prepare for these moments, but until you actually give a salute, you don't really know how much the practice is going to pay off. Way to save that beam routine.
So fourth routine done for Michigan on beam. Don't forget, coming up next on ESPN2 Women's College Basketball, Utah versus Iowa State in Ames, Iowa. Eric Freed and Christy Tomascuddy will be on the call. So Riley Mundell now takes to the floor. They really just need to get 2 out of these 3 decent hits. Don't even need to be perfect. But they got a chance here. Certainly with the next 2 hits, if they could get them, close out the win.
So I want us to listen for the whistle. Every single Denver team has a whistle, and the entire arena chants, "Let's go Denver." They work it in similar to the Gator Chomp that you see with the University of Florida.
There it was.
Let's go DU. Floor routines are hard. I like that. Gives you a little extra momentum going into your last pass. Didn't look like she needed it though.
She's had some trouble on balance beam in that last rotation, but her other 3 events outstanding today for Riley Mundell.
This was done very nicely. Strong set. She spots the corner before she starts flipping, sets her up for a really nice landing, and she knew it.
That routine also will put her in the lead in the all-around with only her teammate, Madison Ulrich, with a chance to catch her. Here's another all-arounder. Jazara Ranger cannot catch Riley Mundell, I don't believe, after that last floor routine.
The last couple of years, this event has given them trouble, but coaches have said how consistent they've been in the gym, how much depth they have, and in training, this has actually been their best event. I like that she's breathing through this routine. Oftentimes athletes will hold their breath on accident because they're a little bit nervous, and that makes them compete tight. Not Jay-Z though. Big double back. Love to see the difficulty here in this Michigan lineup.
Do not see a lot of double back dismounts off balance beam. Big
They're tough to
risk.
stick though.
Yes, they are. Big risk there, but fun to see.
Nice front toss, landing really high. It's really unbelievable to think you can land so straight on such a skinny beam. Highlight for me, this double back, very powerful, but again, risky because it's difficult to stick.
Jay-Z had that missed release on bars, but otherwise an outstanding debut for her in a Michigan Wolverine leotard. Now Bella Mabanta just needs a 9-4 or higher to get the win for the Pioneers. So just avoid major mistakes, stay on your feet, but you know she wants a lot more than that, but that will get Denver the win.
I just love her gymnastics. She is so elegant. Check out these leaps coming up right now. She has overextension. Beautiful.
Oh!
That was so so interesting. She was in the correct positioning, but it's almost like her legs didn't work when she needed them to.
And the victory was within her grasp. She just needed to be on her feet, and it was a W for the Pioneers, but now it hangs in the balance.
And you see her laughing right there, and that's because it's just such like an honest mistake. It's truly an oopsie is what I call it in gymnastics, where it was an accident that she mistimed the punch and couldn't quite save it.
And even if she just stayed on her feet there, obviously there was a problem in the air, but if she could have just found a way to stay on her feet, it probably would have been enough. But now the door is open. Why not some drama weekend one in women's gymnastics? It looked like a walk away for the Pioneers. But Jazara Ranger, the freshman from Michigan, puts up a 9-9, and now Carly Bauman. This would be thievery if the Wolverines could pull this off.
Carly's typically very clean on this event, and I think what's great about her is that she has experience to handle this anchor position. Handspring layout. Of course, the tough part about the anchor position is that you have to handle everything that goes before you. So if there's a fall, if there's wobbles, your job is to put that out of your head and just do your job with a clean slate. But she does have high scoring potential here. Little adjustment, but way to work out of it.
Squeezing that landing.
She fought hard for that, and they needed it. That should be a good score for Michigan.
That should be an outstanding finish. I'll tell you what, Bev Plotke has to be happy with how they finish. Regardless of how this thing ends, she obviously wasn't happy with how it started. But if you can rally and certainly finish strong on an event like Beam, and in the process, put a little pressure on your opponent, you got to be proud of that. Madison Ulrich will be the anchor, waiting for the Mabanta score to come in. It's an 8.975. So certainly the ball's still in Denver's court. And she doesn't have to be perfect, Sam. She's got to go out there and she's got to hit and not give away those landings. But the margin for error, like that we like to talk about, has now been trimmed down significantly.
Well, the good thing about Maddie going in this anchor position is she's the #1 returner for Denver on floor, and she's always such a strong floor worker.
So the score in for Carly Bauman, a 9.85. So a 9.15 or higher. So again, doesn't have to be spectacular, but we just saw a disaster from Mabanta. Cannot do that again.
Do a double tuck, open double tuck, because she's typically used to doing a double layout there.
And that big hop out, not a big deal. A deduction, but certainly not a concern for the Pioneers. Side note to the team title, Ulrich needs a 9.375 or higher to win the all-around title. Would be her second all-around title of her career. Same pass that Mabanta had trouble on, no problem for Ulrich.
Excellent job finishing this routine. She is always so solid on this event. Both coaches said they wanted to learn about their teams. We knew it was going to be evenly matched. I don't think either of us thought there would be this many mistakes from such strong teams, but this was a highlight for me, is this floor routine right here. Too much juice on that first pass. She watered that down, but the rest of these landings were really solid. This last pass, finishing with a good last pass tells me they are well conditioned. She has enough endurance to make it through the rest of the season with a strong floor routine.
I tell you what, if struggles and trials and tribulation build character, there's enough character to go around for everybody in the arena right now, because this is a meet where these coaches, they found out something about their athletes. Denver came out, looked like it was going to be a walk in the park. They made it hard on themselves. Michigan made it real hard on themselves early, but gave themselves a chance late. Man.
Hey, it's better to learn about your team at the first meet of the season, and sometimes you need a little fire to get back in the gym and say, hey guys, we never want this to happen again. We got to pull it together, do some more numbers, do some more mental preparation, because a lot of these mistakes we saw today looked like they were mental mistakes. They got nervous, which really shouldn't happen the first meet of the season, especially when both of these teams are expected to be competitors in the postseason.
Love to hear what Melissa's saying to her team. I have a feeling it's about building character, though. 9.85 for Madison Ulrich, so she does get the score, and it is a win for the Denver Pioneers, and it's the second career all-around title for Madison Ulrich. I tell you what, neither one of these coaches want to have another meet like this, but Denver's got to be happy that they got the win despite the troubles. Michigan's got to be proud of the comeback that they had, Sam.
Yeah, there's bright spots absolutely on both of these teams. Jay-Z Ranger for Michigan. I saw some dynamic gymnastics from her, and then of course some solid gymnastics from the veterans, Carly Bauerman. But for Denver side of things, they had pretty good 3 events. It was just one event that they seemed to struggle on, and they let those falls be contagious. So learnings from both teams, and my guess is that the next time we see them compete, it's going to look a bit different than this meet.
So Denver does get the win over the visiting Michigan Wolverines. Don't forget to join us for the Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad Friday and Saturday on the ACC Network, ABC, and ESPN2 next weekend. For Sam Peschick and our entire ESPN Gymnastics team, I'm John Roethlisberger. Go spread some love, spread some joy, and keep watching women's gymnastics. So long from Denver.